Mr. Rogers. We look forward to hearing more. We're proud to present to you this time His Excellency Goodluck Jonathan, who is the President of Nigeria from 2010 to 2015. President Jonathan has been a pioneer in education and working with the young people in Nigeria, and he's been also courageous to stand against terrorism. He's also a great man of faith, and he really respects all religions and upholds religious freedom. Welcome with me at this time, President of Nigeria, His Excellency Goodluck Jonathan.
Thank you so much. Let me first sincerely commend the efforts of Dr. Thomas Walsh, the chair of UPF International, and Michael Jenkins, our president, UPF International, and management staff of UPS for putting this World Summit together. And let me also sincerely appreciate all of you world leaders who are here in Seoul, and you will be here for 5 days to interrogate this very unique and precious commodity called peace that is eluding the world today. I am pleased to be at this epoch-making World Summit 2020, holding here in Seoul. Beyond focusing on the very important themes of peace, security, and human development, it also marks the centenary of Universal Peace Federation co-founder, late Reverend Sun Myung Moon. I'm grateful to the leadership of UPF, especially Dr. Hak Ja Han Moon, the co-founder of the UPF, for a vision and unyielding crusade for sustainable peace in this world. I commend and appreciate the considerable number of high-level participants of serving and former presidents, prime ministers, vice presidents, as well as top government officials, business executives that are here. As a Democrat and peace advocate, there's no doubt that the theme of this conference and those of other international leadership conferences I have attended resonate richly with my personal ideals and peaceful disposition. 4 years after I left office as the President of Nigeria, I was invited to the International Leadership Conference that held in Johannesburg, South Africa, last June. The high point of this conference was the launching of the African wing of the International Summit Council for Peace, ISCP, for which Mother Moon graciously appointed and inaugurated me as the chair of the council. Being the first ISCP chapter chair to be inaugurated, I hit the ground running by establishing an ISCP secretariat from where we have been leveraging the platform provided by UPF to constantly reach out to both serving and former African leaders. We have continued to engage them individually and collectively at conferences on the desired values of love, peace, unity, and sustainable development on the continent of Africa. Through these engagements, we have demonstrated ISCP's preparedness to promote mutual understanding and cooperation between African serving and former leaders in the interest of peace and development on the continent. We are encouraged by the kind of confidence reposed on us and our capacity to lead the push for peace across Africa by the good people of the continent. This is evident in the overwhelming support we get from fellow Africans wherever we attend the ILC in the world. In some places, we have received requests to intervene in existing conflicts between the incumbent heads of government and their predecessors. We are willing to take up such assignment because it is the determination of ISCP to discourage such misunderstanding and promote mutuality and cooperation among our leaders. I am delighted that at this conference, the Universal Peace Federation is bringing world leaders to renew their commitment to peace through the instrumentality the Federation's key projects, especially ISCP, which the global body is going to be formally inaugurated at this time. I'm persuaded that through its promotion of interdependence, mutual prosperity, and universal values, UPF has presented a different and refreshing approach to peace-building efforts, which renew the hope in the expectation that lasting peace is indeed possible in our world. I believe that the weapon for guaranteeing the peace the world needs today is not in our intimidating armories and sophisticated nuclear sites, but in our hearts. The world looks up to us as leaders to reach out to the innermost recess of our hearts, living our common humanity and embrace one another in true love and sincerity to save our people. It is obvious that military capability alone has not served the intended purpose of securing our world. In the Middle East and Africa, more than other parts of the world, insecurity, insurgency, and terrorism has continued to get worse despite all the efforts to combat them and enforce peace by affected nations and their allies. This is partly because we have paid more attention to our military might more than we have given to the imperative of building honor, love, and affinity in our families and societies. A peaceful family unit entrenched in strong bonds of kinship, ethics, and a well-established tradition of honor will fight insecurity and terrorism better than any weapon. This is because if we pay more attention to the imperative of producing well-adjusted, rational human beings, it will dry up the human supply lines that feed the cells of terrorists. They will no longer be able to recruit misguided and uneducated youth who are willing to either kill or be killed in the most dastardly and bizarre method in pursuit of dark and hideous ideologies. With well-educated and properly aligned young people who are future leaders, the world will then have less leaders who will prioritize war over peace. Without global peace, the world would continue to spend more resources which should have been channeled into development purposes, either generating or managing crisis. In closing, I wish to express my unalloyed support for this mechanism being championed by the UPF to bring serving and former world leaders together to tackle the issue of peace as a collective. There is no doubt that both serving and former leaders have critical roles to play in this regard. They should therefore engage much more under ISCP umbrella in a type of solidarity that will begin to dissolve our prejudices and differences. Current leaders should leverage the experiences and time available to former leaders to orchestrate the kind of understanding that will teach love, unity, understanding, mutuality, and seek to restore the human dignity. Let me sincerely congratulate the winners of the 4th Sahel Peace Prize that will be given within this week of this global body celebrating peace in the world. I thank you for listening.
To President Goodluck Jonathan. Because of his efforts, he was named the chairman of the International Summit Council for Peace, the ISCP for Africa, and also has been asked to be on the chairing committee of the ISCP for the whole world, which we're going to have the inauguration of during the World Summit. So thank you, President Jonathan.